Hey everyone! So welcome back to the channel. Today is more like a chit chat kind of video, bit of a get ready with me. But first, I'm gonna need some tea, so we'll check you back in like 2. And this is Patches, just chilling. Just discussing some things I've had on my mind, but just as a quick disclaimer, if you're here for like makeup inspiration or beauty tips, I'm not the person for you. There are many much better people out there on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and I'm not there. But anyway, so let's do this. First things first. For my hair. Okay, let's just put in some serum before we start anything else. Okay, so I have discovered that at times one of the hardest things about being in your early 20s, is that you can feel a bit underwhelming, especially when you think back and reminisce about dreams you had in your childhood. And unfortunately, nostalgia is one of those terrible things that makes everything seems so much better and so much more grandiose than it really was. And it can be really, really difficult, especially as you get older and things don't always pan out in the way you thought they would, to keep perspective and to remind yourself that the things you thought you wanted may not in fact have been what you really wanted or even good for you. But you keep holding on to these things because you told yourself as a kid, yeah, I would want this, or I would need this, or I would achieve this. And it can just lead to you feeling a tad underwhelming. I'll give you an example. As a kid, I always imagined that I'd end up going into the arts, or actually to be a fashion buyer. And then I got to end of my high school career and discovered that a lot of the degrees were really expensive, so particularly for the business side of fashion, and I couldn't afford it. And then I thought, oh well, maybe I could go to like forensic science or something, and then Cambridge A-level physics kind of hit me a lot harder than I thought. And it was also a very difficult thing because my entire life I had been a straight A student, and then to finish within the one subject. Everything else was pretty good, but that one subject in particular being less than fantastic, I couldn't do it, and that led to a massive feeling of underwhelmingness. And then of course it's not made any better by the fact that if you go onto Instagram or any such place, it's a constant bombardment of things like, at 18 years old, this person is making $1 bajillion doing this and this and this. Or like by selling Amazon links or doing Amazon links, really. Affiliate subscriptions. I mean, affiliate marketing. You see my English. Or they are running around and doing TikToks and are now a millionaire or whatever. So it's always difficult to keep perspective and to be realistic about things. Okay. Then, of course, aside from that feeling underwhelming jazz, you then move on and realize that the things you enjoy doing are very often not exactly what you're supposed to enjoy doing as a 20-something or late teens, 20-something. So I really went through a phase where I tried really hard to enjoy like partying and going out and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I do love socializing. But so growing up, I think we all watched, if you were of a certain age, you probably watched The Princess Diaries or similar movies. And if there was one thing that like they always made a point of, was that you had to, well, first off, in The Princess Diaries, in order to make the princess, Anne Hathaway, look pretty, they snapped her glasses off. So that's led me to pretty much wear contact lenses whenever I want to feel pretty, and in reality I only have to wear them when like I work out or like run or dance or whatever. But it means that whenever I want social recognition or validation, I tend to wear those, which I shouldn't, because I actually like my glasses and I do need them to see. So yeah. So it leads to this issue. And then of course, if you discover that, you know, your ideal version of going out or having fun is perhaps going to a book club or hiking or going to art galleries, or perhaps it's literature festivals, or maybe it's spending time at a dog park, or doing Reiki, or getting into like little hobbies, or like scuba diving or something. And then you try and explain that to people and they're like, oh my word, you should go out, you're young. This is the only time in your life where you can technically get completely wasted and be socially approved for it. And I just can't help but think that, what if it's the wrong thing? Like, yeah, I don't know. Not 100% down for that one. Sorry, I made notes. We're gonna check this out. Oh yes. And then of course, this all plays into this whole feeling of not fitting in. And despite what people may say, like I don't care, or like none of this stuff matters to me, to a certain extent you do. To a certain extent you really do care about these things, and about how you feel, and about how other people think about you. So while you might be tempted to be all like cool and say that none of those things matter, the vast majority of people will probably give an arm and a leg to be esteemed by society or by their community at large, whether or not they'd like to admit it. 2 seconds, I have to put on my glasses to see what I've just done. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So yeah. So that's the one side. Then of course we get to the other side, where, so after I finished my bachelor's degree, I started to feel this massive sense of being stuck, because I was so used to working full-time, studying, and trying to run a side hustle, and trying to be a full-time big sister, and also technically house helper. Oh, that's a bit much. House helper and like friend and everything, that not having one massive chunk of my time anymore left me feeling like sad, lonely, desperate, like, you know, complete swish, almost. Swish, yeah. Anyway, so then you kind of sit there and you go, oh, well, maybe it's not the end of the world, maybe I'll just like, and so you start trying to fill all that time with like nonsense, when in reality you should be focused. But it takes so long to refocus and like re-energize yourself. Like it took me quite a while to remember what it was that I was interested in. It's almost like going through a breakup, really, where you will realize that you lost parts of yourself within the relationship, and if you regain those aspects, or like regain a sense of what you like and what you don't like, and what you care about, what you don't care about, because you put too much of yourself into the relationship and you almost absorbed their hobbies and their interests, etc., etc. 2 seconds. Oh. Okay. Great. Fabulous. Okay, so that's the hobbies and things. That's that side of things. So you're feeling stuck. Well, I'm feeling stuck. And then of course it comes with this whole thing of not knowing how life is going to pan out. I lost my mascara. There it is. You don't know how life is going to pan out. You don't know how your decisions that you make today are going to affect, you know, 5-10 years from now. Will they have any consequence? Will the impact be minor, major? You can't foresee those things. And so then you kind of sit there and you're like, well, I don't know. Important, not important. Do I gain perspective on this? Do I really zoom in and spend tons of time thinking about this? Or do I just do a quick pros and cons list? Like, how do I make this decision? Like, something that's been really bugging me for a while, I should actually do a whole video on it, is how every single person keeps being like, the friends you are or the friends you have are determine your level of success or output or whatever. And to a certain extent that is true. But sometimes people go through things, and it has often been the case that I've seen, is that when people need the most love and support, it's often when they come across as the least worthy or the least... So sorry about that. That was a little bit of a malfunctioning issue. Sorry about that. Anyway, what was I saying? Ah, yes. When people are in times of trouble, that's when they come across as the least lovable, really. And that can make it even harder at times to feel as if that can make things hard at times. Anyway, and it doesn't help that when you're feeling stuck, you very often don't know who to turn to, don't know where to get advice, don't know how to put things into perspective, can't always see which is the best decision to make, which is the best idea, which is, ow, my teeth, which is the best place to go forwards, which decisions will lead to what consequences, and when you should really apply more thought or less thought onto something, and when you should step back. And that leads me into my next conundrum at the moment as I look at whether to go forwards with a master's degree, whether to immigrate, if to immigrate, where should I go to, and then the final thing really is how to navigate. Should I put all my eggs into one basket and really focus on building my side hustle business out here in South Africa, or should I look at it, waiting a bit until I have moved overseas? These are all questions, and very often I tend to have this feeling that at 24 years old, time is running out, and part of it is because of the fact that our society places such a premium on youth. Where at once we have YOLO, where you can only live once, so you must go out and spend all your days doing these extraordinary things like scuba diving or swimming with dolphins or bungee jumping off a bridge or going and partying in Ibiza. But those were, if we think back on all the generations of human history, those were things relegated to like the extremely wealthy. Now every person has to do them, just in order to feel valid. Otherwise you experience FOMO. And it's so crazy sometimes that we all feel this immense pressure to lead these lives that would typically feature in novels and books, and would really only belong to a few select people within older generations. And now we all have to do them. Now we all have to be these things or be these people. And that's terrifying. Also, there's a reality that where you are now, whether or not you might like it, or as I'm currently feeling a bit frustrated, it's still a comfortable place. I mean, it's not terrible. And therefore, can you really go and say, yeah, I want to get rid of it, or I want to stay? Comfort can be nice, but how long do you really stay in comfort? And do we stay in a particular situation, job, country, lifestyle, because it's what's good for us, or because it's just easier than putting ourselves into to once again doing something super uncomfortable and moving not just to another city now, Celestine, but moving to a whole nother country on our own again? Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. And yeah, I know this is a break from the usual content, but I think it's been weighing on me for a while, and I thought it was good to talk about it. And I like chit-chat style videos. So yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye!